let us see. We come to the introduction. So why we should study measurement uncertainty? So for example, what is the mass of this object? Okay, I can't show you. Okay, I'll show you my, this is one object which I have in my hand. So can you tell what is the mass of this object? Please write in the chat box how much is the mass of this object. So this is my AC remote.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is your weight?
Sir, my weight.
Yes.
Sir, I'm a bit overweight, sir.
Okay, doesn't matter. You get reduce some 10 kg and then tell.
Okay, sir. I'll just round off something 65.
Okay. So how do you, that's what, how do you, when did you measure last?
Like 2 months before.
Okay. So within that 2 months, would it have increased or decreased?
Sir, it's increased, sir.
You're sure, no?
Yes, sir. I'm eating
Okay,
a
so
lot.
what is,
I'm
so
eating a
how
lot.
do you express? I'm more interested. See, how will you express the measurement result? See, 2 months back you were 65 kg. So what will be your weight now?
Okay, something like 75.
I'm at 10 kg. See,
I don't know, sir. I'm
so
just
how do you estimate? So that's what. So there is always some
changes.
uncertainty.
Yes, sir.
See, so how do we quantify this uncertainty? So that is where I'm trying to get at. So how do we express this uncertainty? So how do you say your weight? What is your present weight? How can you quantify that? Can it be 100?
No, sir. Like there's a certain
Yes.
limit, like how much my body can weigh, right?
That exactly. So exact. So how do you express your weight? So how do we express a measurement result? We have defined, we have mentioned that in when we defined measurement result. So how
Yes,
is
sir.
the measurement result usually expressed?
Sir, about my, like, I didn't understand. Can you ask once more?
Measurement result, how is it usually expressed?
Like plus with error plus or minus.
So it is not error. So that's what. Now we are differentiating. What is error?
Error like that.
So earlier people used to say error, plus or minus error, but now we say it is not error, but it is error
Uncertainty.
is not. Error is will be varying, but
Yes, sir.
that is something different.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
But
It's actually varying.
okay. So what is, how do we express the uncertainty as plus or minus something? So your weight is 65 plus or minus. So
10.
you're sure it has not decreased. So it is
Yes, sir.
65 plus 10
10.
kg between
Yes, sir.
65 and say 80 kg, sure, isn't it? So
Yes, sir.
you are very sure, you are 99.99% sure it will be between
Sir, I have
65
become
and
much fat,
100,
sir.
isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But between 65 and 75, maybe you are 90% sure.
Yes, sir.
So that's what. So we need two terms, two numbers to express uncertainty. So what are
Yes.
the two numbers? So one is
One is that
the confidence level and the
yes,
other is the limit.
uncertainty.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that is why when we discuss uncertainty, we need to specify, okay, what level of doubt. So what is the measurement result? So you have told 65 like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, okay, you can close. Okay. So Mayer's okay. So earlier days there were no standards for expressing uncertainty. So Mayer's was one chemist who measured the heat capacity of ammonia, and it is in a research journal he wrote this sentence. We think our reported value is good to 1 part in 10,000. We are willing to bet our own money at even odds that it is correct to 2 parts in 10,000. Furthermore, if by any chance our value is shown to be in error by more than 1 part in 10,000, we are prepared to eat the apparatus and drink the ammonia. So that was a very interesting way he expressed. So we need amount of error and the probability of error. So we need two values to describe the uncertainty of a measurement. So why do we need to compute or tell the measurement uncertainty? For example, you are telling your weight is 65 kg. So is it 65 plus or minus 5 kg, or 65 plus or minus 1 kg, or 65 plus or minus 0.1 kg? Okay, how good is the result? So the listener, the person who hears your statement, he does not know how you have measured. You have measured and you are reporting a value. But how good is the result? Only you know. You know when you took your weight last. Is it 1 month before, or 6 months before, or 1 day before? Accordingly, your confidence on that weight will vary. So if it is only yesterday you have measured, then definitely the confidence in the result will be much better. But if you have measured 6 months back, your confidence in the result will be very low. And again, it also depends on your instrument used. Where did you measure? Suppose you are using a balance which is very old, and there may be some errors, but you have not calibrated that balance for a long time. Okay, it was calibrated maybe 1 year back, and you have taken your weight yesterday. So now the uncertainty in the weight will depend on the calibration. So what has happened to the balance during the 1 year? So how carefully have you maintained the balance during the last 1 year? If you have maintained it very carefully, properly, maybe the uncertainty will be less. But if you are not maintained it properly, then uncertainty will be much more. So all this information, only the person who is telling the measurement can give. So you are telling your weight. Can I tell anything about that? No, I don't have any information about that. So that's why we have defined measurement uncertainty already. So it is based on the information available. Okay. So is the result significantly different? Okay. So many times you want to check whether your weight is increasing or not. Okay. So your weight today is, say, 65 plus or minus 1 kg. So you measured last week, it was 64.8 plus or minus 1 kg. So the plus or minus 1 kg you have estimated. So how to estimate that is what we are going to study. So is the result significantly different? Have you really reduced your weight, or is it just by chance? Because there is an uncertainty of plus or minus 1 kg. So 64.8 plus or minus 1 kg was the weight last week. This week it is 65 plus or minus 1 kg. Is the result significantly different? Okay, because you are told it is plus or minus 1 kg, you can say it is not significantly different. But suppose it is not told. You are simply told it was last week it was 64.8. This week is 65. Can you tell, is the result significantly different? Have you reduced your weight or increased your weight? No, it is very difficult to say. Without the uncertainties, you can't come to a conclusion. So especially, for example, medical, nowadays we have oxygen levels. People ask you, if you have COVID, you are asked to monitor your oxygen level, blood oxygen level. So you have a device which measures the oxygen level. So if it is, yesterday it is 95%, today it is 98%. Is there a significant improvement, or vice versa? Yesterday it was 98%, today it is 96%. Is there a significant Has it worsened significantly? So without the uncertainty, so if it is your instrument is not very good, so there is an uncertainty plus or minus 5%. So then 98 to 96, we can't say there is a significant worsening. So without uncertainty, we cannot judge any of this. How can we compare measurement results? So you develop a material and you test it, and it has a tensile strength of 50 megapascals. So somebody in maybe students in a university in China, they also develop a new material and they test it and they get a strength of 70 megapascals. So which material is better? So how do we decide? Again, without uncertainty, it is very difficult to make any conclusion. Is the procedure sufficient? So somebody says you measure this diameter of this shaft. You take a scale and measure it, and you get 149 mm. So is that measurement with the scale okay? So what is the uncertainty? Maybe plus or minus 0.5 mm. So is it sufficient? Okay, without that uncertainty, what is the required uncertainty? So you have to specify what is the required uncertainty. Then only we can decide what should be the procedure. We have to choose a procedure such that the required uncertainty is satisfied. So if you are happy with an uncertainty of plus or minus 0.5, then perhaps measurement scale is enough. If you want an uncertainty of plus or minus 0.05, then you may have to measure with a vernier caliper. If you want uncertainty within plus or minus 0.2, then you may need to measure with a micrometer. If you want to measure with uncertainty of plus or minus 0.001, then you may need a laser scan micrometer or a universal measuring micrometer, measuring microscope. So you need, so the procedure, the method used to measure has to be decided based on what is the required uncertainty. How can we improve the procedure? So how do you know whether your procedure is improved? You are adopting a certain technique for measurement. And now you come up with a new idea. You can measure it like this. How can we say that method is better? Again, we have to compute the uncertainty and show that the new method has a lower uncertainty. Okay? So these are all possible reasons why we need to determine the measurement uncertainty for any measurement. So whenever you give a measurement result, you should also give a measurement uncertainty. Otherwise, people cannot use your measurement result for any of these purposes. You can just keep it as a record, okay, but they cannot use it in any useful way because you are not given the uncertainty. So only when you specify the uncertainty, then only it becomes a useful measurement. Okay, so that is one thing we learned from this course. So whenever you give a measurement result, you should also give the corresponding measurement uncertainty and the corresponding probability level. Then only it is complete. But of course, many times we assume a certain probability level. So nowadays, 95% is very commonly used in industry and elsewhere also. So maybe 95% can be assumed if nothing is mentioned. Okay, that has become the de facto standard. Okay. How good is the measurement results? The diameter of the shaft is 50.0128 mm. Somebody has given with so many digits. But if the shaft itself is not very accurate, how good is the result? Can anybody else decide? Definitely no. So that's what we have already discussed. So only the person measuring can judge what is the uncertainty in his measurement. So it is his responsibility to give the measurement uncertainty. Is the result significantly different? So, okay, we'll discuss this in detail. So this gives an example. For example, tensile strength of a standard steel is 8 MPa minimum. Batch of project students have developed a new steel. A random sample of 10 specimens of the new steel when tested gave average of 12.8 MPa. Is the new steel better? It is average is definitely better than the tensile strength standard, but it is based on only 10 specimens. Can we conclude? And what is the variability in this 10 specimens? That is given by the standard deviation, 6.4 MPa. So 6.4 MPa variation is there. So that means and this is not really, this 12.8 is not, cannot say that it is definitely higher than 8. How can we compare measurement results? Okay, so for example, 3 cars were tested for mileage with the following results. Compare car A and B, car A and C, car B and C. So car A average from 10 samples was 18. Car B average from 12 samples was 19. Car C average from 8 samples was 16. So now is the mileage of B is average is better, but is it really better than A? Is it significantly better than A? Can we say? Difficult. So that's why we need to know, we have to compute. So we have to learn how to carry out such comparisons. Is the procedure sufficient? The distance between 2 boards is specified as 100 plus or minus 0.02 mm. So this is given in the drawing. So you make this part and then you have to decide how to measure. Is a vernier enough? So what is the uncertainty? So now we have to have a rules. Or do you need a CMM to measure this? So how do we decide? So what will be the uncertainty with vernier we have to estimate? What will be the uncertainty with the CMM we have to estimate? And then compare with the tolerance. So what is a tolerance? Okay, there are the allowable sizes, allowable limits of size as specified in the by the designer. Okay, so that is the tolerance. So for all these reasons, we need to, so whenever you give a measurement result, you have to give the corresponding measurement uncertainty. So what is measurement uncertainty? So this is the NPL UK definition, or it is not a definition, it is an informal definition. The quantification of the doubt about the measurement result. So how sure or unsure you are about your measurement result? You quantify that. So that is measurement uncertainty. Error versus uncertainty. Are they same? No, they are two different things. What is error? Measured quantity value minus a reference quantity value. That is error. So if you have a single measurement, this is a true value. The difference is measurement error. What is measurement uncertainty? This is the spread of the reading. So that is uncertainty. So here, for this reading, error is small, but uncertainty is large. U is the uncertainty with perhaps say 99% confidence. Okay, now let us see some possibilities. How do we estimate uncertainty? Some examples. Okay. For example, if you have a pencil and you try to measure the length using a scale. So what will be the length of this pencil? So best estimate of length, 36 mm. Probable range, okay, we are not using the term uncertainty, maybe between 35.5 to 36.5 mm. So how do we decide this? Because the least count of the scale. So that is one factor which you consider to determine the uncertainty of your measurement. What is the least count of your instrument? But sometimes the instrument spacing, the least count is very big. For example, here. So you can definitely, least count is only 1 volt in this voltmeter, but you can definitely tell that the voltage is, best estimate of voltage is 5.3 volts, probable range 5.2 to 5.4 volts. So always least count may not be a good estimate of uncertainty. Problem is if you are using plus or minus 0.5 volts, then the uncertainty is very large, but actually your instrument is much better. So we can consider the possible limits of your estimate in your error. Then another source of estimating the uncertainty is repeated measurements. For example, what is the time period of this pendulum? Maybe 1 second. Okay, suppose the repeated measurements, every time you measure, because it is a dynamic phenomena, you have to measure it several times. So you repeatedly measure the time period of that pendulum and you got these values, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.4. So, pardon? Yes, can you speak?
గౌరీగా ఓ ఈ కలప్ కాడ చూస్తుంది అది మొత్తం చేయడం బండి మైండ్.
Okay, so he has kept his mic open and is somebody is calling from home. Okay, so please inform who is a friend of Google Earth at arm's length to avoid this in future. Okay, so repeated measurements you got like this. So best estimate may be, since we got two readings 2.4, we can say the best estimate is 2.4. Possible range is 2.3 to 2.5 seconds. But suppose the stopwatch was 10% fast. So then all the readings will be 10% faster or 10% less. So in that case, by taking repeated measurement, will this help in reducing the uncertainty? No, this is a systematic error. Systematic error cannot be reduced by replication. Only random errors, they will cancel themselves out, and by taking large number of readings, the random error can be reduced by repetition or replication. So here, the stopwatch being 10% fast is a systematic error. So that cannot be caught by replication. Okay. So we have seen different methods of estimating the uncertainty. Okay, another example is you are comparing the strength of two wires. So I don't know, strength of materials lab you have seen. So you use a universal testing machine and you get the tensile strengths of two wires. Now the two results are different. So one you got 75, one you got 76. So why is it different? The difference may be due to different wires. Every wire is different, or it may be due to your measurement. There will be some variability. So what is it due to? The difference in strength, 75 and 76. How do we say? So difficult to say. So that is the problem. So anyway, so that shows some of the issues in uncertainty estimation, some of the approaches to uncertainty estimation, and some of the problems. Okay. So ISO 9000 requires that organization shall determine the monitoring and measurement to be undertaken and the monitoring and measuring devices needed to provide evidence of conformity of product to determined requirements. So you have to select your measuring instrument so that you provide evidence of conformity to the specified specifications. So depending on the specifications, you have to select your measuring instrument. So if your specification is 150 plus or minus 0.02, then accordingly you may have to use a CMM to make that measurement. So ISO 9000 says that you have to select your measuring instrument based on the specified requirements. So Guide to the Expression of Uncertainty Measurement was published in first published in 1995. So before that, there were no internationally accepted standards. So first published in 1995. So from this GUM, this is called GUM. Okay, so GUM and WIM. Okay, so GUM stands for Guide to Expression of Uncertainty Measurement. Is Malad Sindhu speaking or? Okay, yes, Sindhu, can you speak? You have any question? Are you there? Can you hear? Or okay. Okay, let me ask somebody. Okay, so Mrityunjay Kumar, can you speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is VIM and what is GUM? You know?
GUM, you said GUM, Guide for Uncertainty Measurement Plan.
Okay, and VIM? You have learned already VIM. You should have come prepared, studied VIM by now. Okay?
Okay.
So please spend some time going through the material. I've given a lot of material. Please go through the EduServer. And VIM is for vocabulary of international measure. Both are published by a joint committee of various standards bodies. So different standards bodies joined together, mainly BIPM, Bureau International Dust Point Set Measures, IEC, International Electrotechnical Convention, ISCC, International Federation of Clinical Chemistry, ISO, International Organization for Standardization, ILAC, International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation, IUPAC, International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, IUPAP, International Union of Pure and Applied Physics, OIML, International Organization of Legal Metrology. So all these bodies have come together and prepared this guide, because previously different standards bodies were, and different countries, everybody had their own standards and they were not matching. So there was a lot of confusion, there were a lot of problems in talking to each other. So only it is quite recently that this has been published, and even now most of the textbooks have not yet updated themselves. So that is why there are very few books which actually follow measurement uncertainty, because most of the senior professors will be quite old. So they have not studied this GUM. So they don't know how to use it. So they will not follow the standard. So even when publishing research, you can see many journals, even the editors, they don't know what is all this. So it has, even though it was published, it was not very popular. Of course, in the industry, it is getting popularity. But in many areas, like academics, people are still not really familiar with this method. Okay. So VIM definition. VIM is vocabulary of international metrology. So measurement uncertainty we have already defined in the previous classes. It is a non-negative parameter characterizing the dispersion of the quantity values being attributed to a measurement based on the information used. So it cannot be less than 0. It characterizes the dispersion of the results, and it is based on the information used. So what could be the parameter? What parameter can be used to describe uncertainty? So ISO does not say. So the parameter could be a standard deviation, half width of an interval, maybe the range, any parameter which characterizes the spread of the distribution, interquartile range, or median to upper quartile distance. Anything can be used to characterize measurement uncertainty. ISO or the GUM does not specify what should be the parameter used.